All right, so this afternoon, like I normally do in preparation for class, I tried to come up with a story from my career that kind of aligned with the class, and I found one that was perfect for today. Unfortunately, I forgot it, so I don't have a great opener. What I can tell you, though, for today is I did a lot of learning today. A lot of working and learning and trying to juggle things. And as my mental endurance goes down, the first thing that goes for me is my filter. So you'll have to forgive me tonight if I'm a little off my game, but it's just how it's going to fucking be. Okay? That's just who it's going to be tonight, all right? But we're going to be talking about self-improvement tonight. I think you guys saw the video that went out this week, and I'll turn this on, and maybe that'll help. Maybe it won't. But in the video, I mentioned that self-improvement isn't meant to be comfortable, right? There's not comfort in self-improvement. Now, it is rewarding continuing to improve yourself and get better, but self-improvement itself is not meant to be comfortable, because as you are going through and improving, you are acknowledging shortcomings in your own life, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally. Here's a shortcoming on mine part, right? I built this class a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, sent it off to make these slides. And I wrote down spiritual, physical, relational, mental, and financial, but I missed emotional. Like, that's a big area we have to make improvement on, right? So right off the bat, I started this class off with a failure, which gave me a chance to do some self-improvement. So I did some of that today while I was waiting on you guys to get here, and added the word 6 instead of 5 key areas, and added the word emotional throughout here to just kind of cover it up. But I did improve, all right? So we're going to go through these. This pyramid is supposed to be the other way around for Maverick team, but where these things fall on the pyramid are not going to be the same for each individual person, right? Your spirituality may not be your base for you. That's different for each person. And you could argue and say where that is, but nobody at any given time is going to be on the same page as someone else in their self-development. Because I can tell you, for me, when my spirituality is rocking and I'm great, and I realize my physical fitness is falling off, or my health is falling off, or my mental self-improvement is falling off, I have to shift some of my focus over to that area. If I got something going good, I habitually just shift over my focus to somewhere where I'm showing weakness to improve on that area. So as you go through and write out your priorities for self-improvement, those priorities may change week to week. They could change every month, you know? You could everything be great and financial be the last thing I need to worry about. And then something happens at work and now financial shoots right up to the top. So as you evaluate where to improve on self-improvement, it's going to be something you have to do regularly, okay? Now, when I was writing this class, I realized that writing a class on self-improvement is kind of like writing a class on be better, right? Super vague. So this is part 1 of a series of classes, because there's no way in any kind of respect to your time I could get through everything there is to get through on personal development and self-development. So over the next few months, we'll have a few different classes on self-improvement that just build on the previous class. But they'll be online for anybody who wasn't able to be here for one of those meetings, so you can catch up and figure those things out. All right, spiritual mastery. So I have gone up and down on my spiritual walk, who I am as a spiritual person. I was raised Baptist, now I'm Catholic. There's times where I didn't go to church. There's times overseas where I'm like, if this is happening, there's no way there's a God. I've gone up and down throughout my life. But I can tell you that in my lows were when I was not spiritual, right? When I was struggling the most, I also didn't put any effort into my spirituality. Spirituality is not an easy thing for everybody to grasp, right? If you go to different groups, some people, like, I'm not huge on religion, but I think a religion is a great place to start if you're trying to build yourself spiritually. go to a group that helps you do that, right? If you already have that foundation and are beyond like what religion is telling you, and you are working on your spiritual walk with God, or God, how you see God for that matter, but you have a different method, good on you. But you have to invest that time, okay? If you go to some groups like almost any of your anonymous groups, your Alcohol Anonymous, Shoppers Anonymous, Foot Fetish Anonymous, whatever those anonymous is that you're a part of. I know who you are. I've seen you, right? I'm not going to name names because anonymous, but as you go to those groups, in order to not alienate anybody, they say, God as you understand him or her, right? Because what is God to you may not be God to the next person. And more important than who's right and who's wrong on God is the spiritual walk of you trying to get better, right? The spiritual walk of you identifying that you are not the end all be all, right? Because if you know there's not a God, that means you're omniscient. It means you know everything, which inherently means you're God and you're wrong, right? If you know everything, you're God. So you have to acknowledge that there's something other than yourself in order to develop that spiritual walk. And so as you work through that, one of the big things, we talk about it regularly, meditation, okay? And I'm not talking about, so my son used to sit down cross-legged and put his hands out like this, and he'd say, and then he would say, I'm irritating, because before he knew the word meditating. But it was irritating, he was right. But he would sit down and do that and make fun of it, but I never, for a long time, never thought about meditation as like a practice in my life. But for me, meditation is being quiet. For me, meditation is shutting off my mind for a few minutes. You know, as long as I can take it, right? Opening my mind through the absence of things I'm filling it with in order to allow other things to come in, okay? That is meditation to me. Now you can go and look up many different practices on meditation and methods, but in its simplest form, it's just the absence of thought, the absence of noise, and putting yourself in a position where you are open to self-realization. And I've been in meditation where I'm like, all right, finally got my mind calmed down. Oh shit, my back hurts. I should probably go to the doctor, you know? Or been in the meditation and been like, you know what? I just realized something that I've been trying to avoid all week. I can go take care of that, right? And so often the thing I avoid the hardest is a 2-minute task. And a 2-minute task, I try to create a practice. I'm trying to create a practice. It's so in the works. But if I have something that I want to procrastinate and it takes under 2 minutes to do it, I do it right now. As soon as I identify I want to procrastinate on that task, I do it right now. Whether that's pay a bill I hate paying bills. Not because I'm losing money. I just hate going through, entering my credit card. I hate it. It's like cleaning windows. Cleaning windows, paying bills, least favorite tasks. So if I run across a bill, instead of going and putting it in my office on my desk for me to deal with later, just do it right now. Because eventually I'm going to have to do it anyways. And eventually my wife's going to get mad that I didn't do it. And now she's mad and I still have to do it. So it's a lose-lose. So I've been trying to develop that in my own life. Reflection. We talk about this pretty often. Just going back at the end of your day or the beginning of your day and reflecting on the day you just had or the previous day to understand where you succeeded and where you failed, where gratitude should be given, where an apology should be given, to understand what you accomplished or did not accomplish throughout that day. Giving yourself a grade if that's what you need, but evaluating yourself, because if you do not evaluate yourself, how do you know if you're improving? Because if you're not improving, you're just slowly dying, in my opinion, right? Because everybody else around you is going to improve, and they're going to continue to move forward on the highway of life. But if you're not improving, you are sitting still. And so the goal is that you continue to move, you continue to learn, all right? Mental fortitude. This is just your ability to learn. And I know we've started creating some good practices in this group with learning, but it is a lifelong endeavor to continue to learn. Unless any of us have made it to the pinnacle of where you want to be in life, then you still have things you need to learn. And if you already have all the skills that are going to get you there, then why aren't you there, right? There's got to be something to fine tune, something else to learn to take you to that next level. Okay, and whether that's my favorite way to learn is audiobooks, because I can sit and listen to it over and over and over. It consumes me when I drive. I can listen to it when I'm going to sleep. I only do that with books I've read before. If it's a really good book, though, it doesn't work. I don't ever sleep. So those are driving books, and I have my fall asleep books. There's some old. Who's ever read the book? Something influencing people. It's like How to Win Friends. That's a go to sleep book for me. Yeah, Carnegie's a go to sleep book for me. But if I'm listening to like Endurance, the story of Ernest Shackleton, anybody ever read that book? It was an awesome book. I'll give you a synopsis of it. So, one of the greatest expeditions ever down to Antarctica, where his ship got stuck in the ice. Ultimately, ship ended up sinking. Now he's stranded on the in Antarctica, and takes basically his lifeboats and sails across the most dangerous ocean in the world without any communication equipment, using like basic sextant things to tell where they're at, through this crazy thing without the modern technology. This is early 1900s. And when it's all said and done, like a year later after his expedition set off, he gets his entire team rescued without anybody dying. And at every turn, there was something trying to kill them, whether it was the ocean they were in, as they're modifying boats to sail across the open ocean to hit small specks of an island in the middle of the night, right? Or whatever it was. But what was amazing about that book to me was not all the things they went through. It was the thought process he went through when he selected his team on the front end. His ability to say, all right, I'm going to bring this guy on because he's going to counteract that guy. There's other people that have that same skills, as a deck mate or whatever shitty ship word there is. George, tell me the shitty ship word. But whatever, instead of that guy, boatsman's mate or deckhand, I'm going to pick him because he's got a powerful presence, and that guy needs to be put in his place. And so he would pick people and pair people like that. Whenever he'd put people on boats, it was based off a personality and knowledge base that he would pick and choose who was going where. And his management of people was inspiring to me, okay? But reading, engaging in deep thinking, I do this a lot because I think that we oftentimes have great thoughts, great ideas, and we do ourselves an injustice when we don't think deeper about those ideas to understand more about it, right? Because it's very easy to say, like, I'm going to do this for my team. They're going to love it, right? Monday morning, I'm going to come in with donuts, and everybody's going to love it, right? But why are they going to love it? Like, what are you getting at? What is not just the effect, but what is the cause behind that? Showing you care? Like, what other things have you done for them to show them you care other than donuts? Here, give them donuts and then tell them to go to the gym, right? What else can you do that has that same effect on a daily basis? Maybe something that doesn't cost money. Like, how are you doing? Going in and talking to a new employee and just saying, welcome to the team. I own this business. I'm excited you're here. And call them by name. Or, sending an email or a text message, happy birthday, right? There's lots of things you can do. But if you're not analyzing those thoughts, those good thoughts you have, those good ideas you have, to understand the root cause and the root effect, then you're not thinking deep enough to understand how you can duplicate those things in other ways, right? Embracing discomfort, handling setbacks, and staying disciplined, okay? Embracing discomfort is like anything, like going to the gym. Who's here worked out with, what's his name again? Jeff. Yeah. Who here has done it more than once? Idiots. Well, now I bring that up because you guys need more mental fortitude, right? because you're not very smart. But no, so that takes mental fortitude to get through those workouts, right? And it takes even more mental fortitude to answer your phone or answer that text message the next time that comes around, right? I can tell you, if I went to one of those workouts, I'd change my number. Because I also believe in self-preservation. So you're not going to see me at one of those. I'll try anything twice that does not involve Jeff. All right, staying disciplined, okay? In the absence of inspiration, motivation, or a solid reason why, when those things go away at the end of a long day, when you're trying to close up business in the rain, or you're trying to finish a job that has taken a week longer than you projected it, and it's over budget, and you're already bid it low, when you're at that point, discipline is what you have to have. And that is that mental fortitude, okay? Because motivation can take you a long way. Watch any sport. Those runs they go on, where like last night, the Thunder going on a 24-0 run in the basketball game was because of the motivation and capitalizing on the momentum they had, right? And that's very easy to do. But when you don't have that, discipline is what picks up the slack. Discipline was the reason they were able to finally do that in the fourth quarter, because they stuck to the game plan, they filled their roles, everybody did their part, nobody gave up, they didn't switch out starters for younger rookie players like Flagler who can't hit a shot. They stuck with the game plan, believed in their people, and the discipline brought them across the line. And that's true in everything we do. In the absence of motivation, discipline is what carries you. And if you don't have discipline, if you don't develop that, because it is a practice, just like being a doctor, you have to continue to work on that and develop that. Because if you don't have it, it will become evident. And if you neglect it, just like neglecting leg day, you will know when you go in there to do squats. Actually, you'll know 2 days after you go in there and do squats. Right? All right, physical excellence, the body as a weapon. So I believe wholeheartedly in my life, the time I am in best physical shape, my confidence is higher, my mental endurance is higher, my ability to be patient with people is higher. I just have more bandwidth as a human being because because one part of me is not struggling, right? Imagine going through life and you know that I won't have to struggle in this one area and it will benefit all my other areas. All I got to do is 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week in the gym, right? Imagine being able to solve a problem with 45 minutes. Like you know what the solution is. Go in there, do the time, move around, lift the weights, walk, get on the Stairmaster, go join me in jazzercise, whatever you want to do. But taking care of your body has long-term effects, okay? I've been working with life insurance lately, and there's a lot of people I run into who are in their latter stages of life that didn't take care of themselves physically, who now are struggling to take care of themselves financially, which is affecting them emotionally, mentally, all because they didn't take care of themselves physically, and they can't get insured, right? They don't know how their kids are going to be taken care of as they're on their way out, but they're not insurable because they didn't take care of themselves. They are 5'1", 265 pounds. No one's giving you a policy, right? Nobody that's going to stay in business is going to give you a policy. So take care of yourself. It affects more than just that, your life, okay? And it's more than just the gym, right? Taking care of your nutrition, eating keto clusters instead of Dunkin' Donuts every morning, right? Or whatever it is, you find your way. For me, it's just watching how many carbs I eat. Maybe I don't need a bowl of ice cream every night. Just simple things like that make a big impact on my health. And I'd venture to say that as you start to focus on yourself and maybe keep some food logs or whatever it is you need to do to see the cause and effect, that as you cut things out that you know, like as a society, we've gotten pretty smart. We know what's good for us. We know what's bad for us. And if we don't, we can Google it and find out right away. Nobody is sitting and eating ice cream and thinking like, man, this is really gonna like help me look good for beach weather, right? Everybody knows what happens. So it's about how do I find the balance to where I can still enjoy life at the level I'm planning to enjoy it at. Because for some people that's higher. Jeff isn't a professional athlete who finds his enjoyment in what he eats. You know what I'm saying? He is a professional athlete who finds his enjoyment, gets his fix out of how he performs physically, what that does for him at home because he can keep up with his kids, his mental endurance that his physical fitness provides. So it's a balance that you have to find for you, and it's going to be different for every person when it comes to nutrition. And I put on here strength, mobility, balance, and recovery. I think a very underlooked portion of physical fitness is balance. Everybody talks about how flexible you are, but I think balance is key because I've seen a lot of people in their latter years of life, when they finally, they worked for 50, 60 years to get to this point where they can stop working and enjoy their life, but they didn't take care of themselves and they have no balance. So now they're falling and dying earlier, all because they didn't focus on this little thing. And it's not hard, right? Maybe do a one-legged squat every once in a while. That little improvement right there could be the difference in whether you break your hip at 70 or you're snowboarding at 70. Okay? All right, relational intelligence, build your inner circle, okay? Now, here's the downside that I have seen with self-improvement. I have seen people who are on a path of self-improvement, dedicating themselves to whether it was someone in night school, getting a degree in night school, working on a promotion at work, and that made them feel more confident, and that broke their relationship at home. Not because they neglected that relationship, but they got into that relationship at a low point. And now that as they're rising up and pulling themselves up, the person that they've chose to partner with wants them back down on their level. That is toxic. That is something you can identify if you recognize it as a problem, right? And I bring it up because we have a hard time seeing things we've never seen before. And so I have seen that several different times where the split in a relationship is because one person was moving forward, getting better, and the other person wanted to drag them back. And you have to make a hard choice, because I've seen the people who just like, all right, I'll sit back down here and I'll stay at your level. And they're never going to go anywhere. That is going to be where they live the rest of their life until they decide that being better for themselves and those around him is more important than sitting and doing nothing stagnant for the rest of their life, okay? So cutting those toxic ties, those people that bring you down, those people that don't align with where you're going, that doesn't mean you have to like, hey, fuck you, we're no longer friends. That just means maybe I'm not initiating, hey, what are you doing Friday night? You want to go smoke weed? Or what are you doing Friday night? Let's go get wasted. Maybe I'm not initiating that because that doesn't align with where I want to be. Right? So it doesn't have to be I am cutting ties, does not necessarily have to be I am breaking this relationship. In some situations it may be. I have to completely separate myself from this person, but a lot of times people get the hint, right? I mean, who here is not in a long-term relationship? Right? So if you text a girl and they don't ever text you back, like you get the hint eventually, right? Friends are they going to do the same thing. If you don't text them back,
He's still working on it.
on the friends piece. Yeah, that's all you got is friends? Well, see me afterwards. All right. Connection, influence, and service, okay? I'm a huge proponent of connection. I would love to connect with everybody in Oklahoma City. Since I've got back here, it's been a big mission of mine because I never know who I'm going to be able to help because of who I know. And that is always an opportunity. For example, since I've been back in Oklahoma City, I've worked with, I think it was 5 different electrical organizations, whether it was people who built police cars, the electrical and police cars, electrical companies, the electrical supply stores. But I had a veteran reach out to me saying, hey, I'm moving back to Oklahoma in 6 months. I need to find a job in electrical. Cool. Here's 5 companies. And to me, that connection that I can meet with people empowers me to be able to take care of other people. It empowers me to provide service to other people down the line. Or it just, maybe me knowing them provides them a service one day when they're like, you know what? I need some guy who can really talk to people passive aggressively. And he knows me now. And he can call me and I'll come in and tell people they're shitty in the nicest way possible. All right? All right, financial discipline. This is, I am not a fiduciary organization. I am not a money person, but I know that the more debt I have, the less money I save, right? I know that if I go to the movies every Friday night with my kids, that's going to get expensive. Financial stability is not about, in my opinion, in part 1 of this class, it is not how are we going to get rich quick. It is, where does your money go? And now a lot of people have no idea where their money goes month to month, week to week, because they don't sit down and analyze it. And banking tools have gotten great over the years. You can, a lot of times with a lot of banks, go in there and sort your transactions by what it is. And it doesn't take long for you to teach it. Like, no, Casey's is not a grocery store. It is a gas station. Walmart is not a strip club. It is it is a grocery store. You can make those changes and it'll affect every transaction you have in those locations. And then you can sit down and say, all right, before I even get to the budget point, right? I need to identify where my starting point is. Where is my money being spent? And if I can do that, that for a lot of people is enough to affect change in their life financially. I know the first time I ever sat down to see how much money I spent on tobacco, it changed the amount of tobacco I used for several days. So going in there though, maybe who's seen that video on social media? It's this guy like sitting in his chair or playing Pokemon Go, and his wife's like, "Is everybody else spending $1,200?" He's like, "If they're serious about it, I don't know what they're doing. If they're serious about it, they're spending $1,200. Then maybe they really want to catch them all." like if you don't know where I guarantee that was the first time that guy realized he had spent $1,200 on Pokemon Go was when someone brought it up to him. Be proactive, get in your bank accounts, figure out where it's going. Then you can take the next step of building a budget. Okay. I tell my kids, I teach my kids that the best way for us to become rich is to live like we're poor. Because any money I'm not saving means it's going into the bank. And when I need that, I'm not relying on credit. Now, here's also not an advised financial practice, but I don't have an emergency savings. And the reason why is because if I have money that I can save, I don't put it in a bank account where it collects 2% interest at best. I put it in the market or into an investment. If I need emergency money, I own a credit card. That's where that money is going to come from. It'll take me 3 or 4 days to pull that money out of an investment. But if I need money now, I don't pull it out of I use a credit card and then pull the money out of the savings. But to me, if I have money that I'm not spending, I want it working for me. And I don't put money into investments that are going to pull me 6% interest if I have a credit card debt that is going to take 29% interest. Because that credit card is costing me more money than the money I put in that investment right now. Long term, but ultimately it's about cutting your debts and saving for your future. Okay? Whatever that future may be. Any questions on financial? It is delayed gratification. It is not always satisfying to spend money. I was not always good at it. No kidding. My wife's engagement ring, I I bought for $500 and a skateboard, secondhand. Yeah.
She knows that.
Yes, but she also doesn't wear that ring anymore. as soon as she got a hold of my money and and got me to stabilize my money, we replaced that. But there was a time where I lived paycheck to paycheck, and my idea of dinner was to go to McDonald's because it was next to the store where I bought the beer, and that's what we did every night. But what's up?
So making a budget is a good tool.
Yes, a budget is a good tool, but a budget is also a waste of your time if you don't follow it, right?
Any other tools besides a budget that you know? Right?
So a lot of the financial, like once you start getting into like having a financial manager or a wealth manager, those people can do great work for you as long as you find a fiduciary, which is someone legally bound to act in your best interest, right? If they're not a fiduciary, then they are probably selling some kind of product. But getting money smart is not a one-time thing. There's not one book you read that makes you money smart, because every year a new product is out. And now this is, an EFT replaces a mutual fund, and this is no longer the best place to keep your money. This is the best place to keep your money. So those products are always changing. And so it is a continuous process, or you have to pay someone to do it. So budget is the most basic level of how do I prepare myself for investing. Investing is the next step. So identifying where your money's going, then building a budget, eliminating debt, and then investing. Now, if you're getting an investment that is you're going to get a 10% return, and you want to use that instead of you want to put money into that instead of paying off a 6% car note, more power to you. I also know that I have many times at young people's lives, I have helped them get a hold of their money by getting them a credit card to start building credit, getting bank accounts, getting their financial footprint set up in a way that they were protected, but at the same time could build credit, because it doesn't matter how great you are with your budget. If you're coming home and you put $100 away every month, that's going to take you more years to save up enough money to buy a house than than you're going to live, right? Yes.
I think a good way to look at that too is, invest your money in, the market so you can invest in yourself. Taking a risk on a product, fuel your future aspiration or dream.
Yes.
Something that doesn't have an immediate, you don't know how much the return is, but you have that on the table.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself to produce a 10x.
To me, I treat the market like, so the market is either a long-term investment or it is a full-time job. Because I either have to be planning for years and years out the way, because the market will beat itself every 5 years. Every 5 years, it will be better than it was 5 years ago. That doesn't mean next year it's going to be better than it was this year. It may go down. But historically, every 5 years, it is better than it was 5 years ago. So you either put that money in the market for it to be a long-term investment, or you're like one of those people who's every day checking to make sure that their investments are performing. And it is a separate job to make sure that they're pulling the money out at the right time. They're watching the news to figure out what's going on. Are they going to start drilling again? Let me move this money from this electrical car company to this oil company. So you have to have an appetite for loss and patience if you're going to put money in the market. It is not a decision that I advise anybody to make lightly and uninformed, for sure. I did. I've done it. I did it. I bought a bunch of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in 2008 after they crashed, because I thought they're going to come back up for sure, right? Nah, not even a little bit. They found a new bottom. I put in at the bottom, and they got out their shovels. They proved me wrong. But it is something you have to have an appetite and a threshold for accepting loss when you start putting money into the market. Now, there are there's dangerous ways to put money into the market, and there are safer ways. If you are using something like a mutual fund or an EFT, those are groups of stocks, and so the threshold for loss is much lower because it's diversified. Okay, this could be a whole separate class that I am woefully underqualified to teach. I know a few things for sure financially. If I spend more than I make, I'm going to go into debt. If I save money every month, I'm going to have more money. And if I invest in Freddie May, or what is it? Freddie, now I can't even say it right. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, I'm not going to get that money back. Yeah. Yeah. So that financial responsibility could be a whole class and is something that probably needs to be an individual basis when you start learning how to invest money, how to save money is my goal for today. Okay. Emotional intelligence. Okay. So today I was listening to a guy and he talked about how attitude is a magnet. Your attitude that you portray is a magnet, and that attitude comes from your emotions, your emotional intelligence, and how well you deal with that. Now, it attracts positives and negatives. If you are a positive person and you have a positive attitude and you have a good attitude with the people you're around, opportunities will be brought to you. People will want to be involved with you, right? Now, if you have a negative attitude, people will also want to be involved with you, but they're not bringing you their opportunities. They're bringing you your misery. Misery loves company, and negative attitudes draw people to you that also love misery. They want to hear your story and why it's worse, so that they can tell you why theirs is worse, right? They want to be at the bottom, and the only way they know they're at the bottom is they know where you're at. They want to share in that misery and tell you how bad their life is. And they'll spend more hours their day telling people their problems than they will doing anything about those problems. So your attitude that comes from your emotions is a magnet and will attract people either way, whether it's the positive people or the negative people. That's up to you. Now, emotional intelligence is a tricky thing, right? Because it's not always something that we are trained to recognize our emotions. And I know for some of us older gentlemen in the room, emotions were not like a thing a long time ago. Like when I was growing up, like if you cried because when you put a nail through your hand, like you're not a man, you know? I grew up and everybody in my house could drink coffee as long as it was black. You're not allowed to put anything in it. We were hard, right? Yeah. Why would I cry? Suck it up. I don't know how many times I remember seeing my little brothers when I was growing up going like, you hurt? Nope. I'm good. I'm good. I fell off that building. I'm good. Luckily, we're in a day and an age where we don't have to bottle that up until we pop, right? But we actually are given tools like the word emotional or the phrase emotional intelligence to where we can deal with those things. Still, we can bottle them up, but we now have tools and are not afraid to identify them so we can deal with those things in a healthy way, right? Because when I was growing up, people still dealt with emotions, absolutely, but it was like a fire hose of emotion. When it came out like a pressure cooker just blew up. And so rather than that, we can deal with those on a daily basis. But it is just like everything else, a practice. Okay. It is analyzing, why did I just say that to that person? Maybe I need to take a step back. Here's a new tool I've been trying. Okay. Whenever I interact with someone and they are rude to me or they blow up at me, my initial reaction is I want to fire back, right? I know 9 times out of 10, I will be able to what's the word? Common sense somebody, common sense somebody. They'd be like, we can't do that. I'm like, but your ad says this. Here, prime example. I went to Crunch Fitness with my wife a few weeks ago, and I said my wife wants to go use the massage chair as my guest. They said she doesn't have access to it. I'm like, what do you mean my wife doesn't have access? That sign right there says my level has unlimited guest access. Why can my wife not use it? Is that the limit to my unlimited guest access? What's the problem here? And I can normally outwit that person who is not he is not the owner of Crunch Fitness. He has no impact on that, right? And all I'm doing is making his shitty day already shittier because of my attitude. So now what I've been trying to do is whenever I come across that person, I always think like their shoes or my shoes, depending on who the aggressor is. Because I don't know what it's like to walk in his shoes, and he doesn't know what it's like to walk in my shoes. And I don't know what those shoes went through before I interacted with them today. And so rather than just reacting, I try to think of, you know what, this guy, maybe his grandpa just died. Maybe his puppy got hit by a car. You know? Maybe he bet on the Super Bowl for the Chiefs to win. Who knows what it is? Why his day is shitty? But why am I going to respond the way I want to, the way I've wired myself to? Rather than that, I take and I analyze those emotions so that I can take a step back and determine what the correct response is, right? Instead of reacting, try to respond. Reacting is most of the time it's not going to be good. For me, in the history of me, when I react, it is not polite, to say the least. Okay. I got a huge fight with someone at 7-Eleven a few weeks ago who worked there, who had no idea what they were doing, but it wasn't their fault, right? It was their parents, and so I called those parents. I just called the parents. All right. The power of daily action. Small, consistent actions create massive results. Creating habits. We can all day, every day, sit down and come up with a plan. These are the things I'm going to do for self-improvement. And if you have 100 points to use towards effort every day, you can put 25 points into self-improvement. Now, those 25 points, you're going to separate those into 6 different categories. So whatever that breaks down into, public math isn't my strong suit. You're going to break those down into those categories. Now, what happens if your day was longer? Some of those points are coming back out to deal with that day. And so something is falling off. And so as you're going through this, you have to build habits because those points are effort. Habits don't take from those points. Habits are just what you do. Habits of brushing your teeth in the morning. It takes 0% of my daily effort to brush my teeth in the morning. It's just a habit. It just happens. Showering once a week is a habit. That takes no effort. If I skip a week, people know. So I've created that habit, and I don't have to think about it. Now, if you can build habits on self-development, whether that's you get into your car and an audiobook comes on, and you listen to that audiobook. I listen to audiobook, have a little notepad right here. And it drives my kids nuts. I can't write without looking. It's embarrassing. But it takes effort, but it's become a habit for me. So I have that mental self-improvement already built in as a habit. Physical self-improvement we've talked about how to create habits for that. It's just simple things like I'm going to set an alarm at an achievable time. If I'm normally waking up at 8, I'm not going to set a 4 o'clock alarm and say I'm going to start this new habit at 4 o'clock. Maybe I shoot for 7, then I go to the gym. Maybe what it's going to take is I put my alarm across the room next to my running shoes. You know? And maybe you back it up even further. Instead of waking up tomorrow morning and going to the gym, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and get dressed as if I'm going to go to the gym. And then once you're dressed, what's holding you back? You know? So you got to break those things down to create those habits, because those are what will take it from being an effort to self-improve to just being something that happens naturally. maximum 1% rule, improve slightly each day. 1% improvement every day over a year. Compounding interest is 3,700% improvement by improving 1% every day in what you do. Okay. Now, not everything is easily measurable. It is hard to put a percentage to how well did I improve my emotional intelligence today. Because today's gonna be different than tomorrow, and I may think that sitting at home mowing my lawn with earbuds and today I didn't yell at anybody is my emotional intelligence improved, but I also didn't deal with anybody. So how can I measure it? But striving for a little bit of improvement every day has a big impact over the course of time. And then discipline over motivation. We'll talk about that over. All right. Matters just don't just grow and lead. To me, as a leader, self-improvement is not it's not an option. It's a responsibility, an obligation I have. If I'm going to expect people to follow me, to listen to me, that includes my kids. If I'm going to tell my kids, you have to create habits, take care of yourself, do your best in everything you do, then I also have to do those things. It is an obligation that I have given myself by being a parent. And if you have employees, you have that same obligation. Because whether or not you think about it, you having employees means that someone's husband, child, brother, sister is entrusting that you are taking care of them on work sites, on the way to and from work sites, in the office, whatever it is. When someone's husband, wife, father, sister, brother goes to work and it's for you, you are being entrusted with their welfare. So it is not an option. It is an obligation. A stronger you creates a stronger impact to the world. Growth is never ending, but the best leaders stay students. I also think that the best leaders are excellent followers. If we don't know how to follow, then how do we expect people to follow us? How do I ever expect someone to respect me if I can't respect my superiors? Does that make sense? So, like I said, this is part one of a 648 part series that we will complete over the next 2 to 3 weeks. But over the next few months, we're going to put more self-improvement classes in there because it is a very broad topic. And as we get further into it, we'll dive deeper into how we can not just understand what these different categories are, but how do we affect each of these categories and how do we grow these, okay? What I challenge you guys to do is take time and analyze those categories, spiritual, financial, physical, emotional, relational, and then the other one, take those and prioritize them from your strongest to your weakest, okay? Because it makes no sense at all to start working on your strongest one. We're only as strong as our weakest link, and if they all lift each other up to be a better you. So write those out, prioritize them, make it a habit that maybe at the end of every week. I know I have my book that has my calendar, and if I need to create a new habit, I put it on that day that I need to do that. So when I get to that point, I'll just fill in those blanks and create that habit, because reanalyzing those is important. Otherwise, you continue to invest in something while something else is costing you money. All right. Thank you for your time. Only really announcement I have, unless you have anything, is in March, we're going to put together a professional networking event where we are bringing in several different resources. Hopefully, I got to finish hammering down those details with them to come talk about employee resource tools and things like that. But the goal is really that we can bring people from the metro area together and exchange business cards, get to know. Because I know it happens in these rooms where you are doing business that someone else referred to you because they were in the right place at the right time. It's to expand that network, make those connections. There will be a cost associated with it because it's going to be food, but it's not going to be a lot of food, or not going to be a lot of money. I'm going to try to get a discount. I know the GM. Okay. Are there any questions for me?
What's that? Yeah. It's going to be chicken themed. Just so you know. All right. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you for your time.